My name is Carolyn Cave. I live in Annapolis, Maryland with my husband Matt and our 2 children, Solvay, who is 1, and Oliver, who is 4, who is deaf. Whether we know you personally or you're someone we've yet to meet, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our story. In the fall of 2017, I started to have a backache, which I thought was pretty typical for someone with 2 small children. I was loading kids in and out of car seats, picking up toys. But in December of 2017, I decided it was time to see a chiropractor to help me with my pain. He was a little disturbed by how I was describing some of my pain, and he ordered an MRI. Late one Friday afternoon, I was rushing to get to the chiropractor's office, dropped Solvay off at home, and my phone rang, and it was my chiropractor. And he said, "Carolyn, I can't see you, and I can't treat you." He said, "Your spine is broken, and your MRI shows indications of metastatic disease." And I said, "Does that mean cancer?" And he said, "Yeah." My general practitioner said I would need to see a spine specialist and referred me. The very next morning, that spine specialist called me and said he could not help me and that I needed to go to Johns Hopkins through the ER immediately. We met the surgeon at 10 in the morning. We were in surgery within the hour. When I woke up 7 hours later after the surgery was completed, the surgeon told me that my bone was healthy, except for the one that had to be replaced, which felt basically like mashed potatoes. He explained that had I waited any longer to come in, there was a very real possibility that I could have woken up one morning paralyzed. They had put steel and 2 screws in 6 of my vertebrae. The affected vertebrae had essentially been hollowed out and replaced by a steel cage around my spinal cord. This was all done in an effort to stabilize my spine and protect my spinal cord. We met with an oncologist at Hopkins who told me that he thought I possibly had what was called a sarcoma, and that there's a very small percentage of cancers that don't respond to anything, which are called alveolar soft part sarcoma, or ASPS. That sarcoma is the most deadly because it goes to the brain. Weeks later, when pathology came back, we learned that alveolar soft part sarcoma was exactly what I had. This is how alveolar soft part sarcoma works. You have a tumor in one of your limbs, an arm or a leg. It can sit there for decades. My oncologist estimates that the tumor in my calf is probably 15 to 20 years old. And then, inexplicably, the cancer jumps. For me, it jumped to my spine, to my ribs, to my lungs, to my hip, and to my neck. We learned that I would not be receiving chemotherapy, I would not be receiving radiation, and that there was one course of treatment that was available to me, which is immunotherapy. The 2 drugs that I need for treatment totaled at just around $500,000 a year. My therapy would go on for 2 years, meaning that I would need $1 million to pay for these drugs out of pocket. Desperate, Matt and I turned to our families and friends to launch a letter writing campaign. We were thrilled when within 3 days, the Maryland State's Attorney came back with a response from our insurer to say that they had granted our appeal for use of those drugs. That excitement quickly turned to concern when we found out that every 3 weeks, we would have to pay a $4,000 copay for my drug treatments. $4,000 every 3 weeks totals yearly around $68,000. Both my husband and I are college educated and gainfully employed, but this copay makes treatment for us cost prohibitive. I'm 39 years old. I plan to live a long and fruitful life, but to do that, I will need your help. Every cancer patient deserves excellent care. I believe that my family's circumstances are unique because my cancer is very rare and there are drugs and therapies being developed today that can help me in the future. I fully intend to fight and beat this cancer. My family and friends have launched a fundraising campaign to ensure that money is never a factor when I have to make a decision about my care, my longevity, or my treatment. I hope that you can be part of the solution for my family and help our family to move forward with our lives and raise our children. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mommy.